Okay, 8th graders, if you missed the beginning page or pages of Operation Egg Drop, our next big lab, we're going to break it up into some smaller chunks for you to work through. So this has been shared on today's lessons in the Google Doc, and what I want you to do is open it, make a copy of it, and you're going to title it Operation Egg Drop followed by your name, and then what you're going to do is start filling it in. You can make a hypothesis, answer the question, and then we're going to focus on experiment steps 1 and 2. So a couple of things for you to consider. First of all, experiment step number 1 asks you to design something that's no bigger than a designated egg crate, and that's this right here. This is exactly 1 foot tall by 1 foot wide by 1 foot deep, 1 foot cube. Mass-wise, we said we want to keep it under 300 grams. So I know that most of us don't have a measuring device for mass at home. If you do in the kitchen for baking purposes or cooking purposes, that's great. But we said there's some common things that we can find at home with some simple masses. So a standard spoon has a mass of roughly 40 grams. A can of tuna has a mass of roughly 175 grams. A can of soda has a mass of 270 grams, and a big can of soup, like Chunky Soup, has a mass of over 600 grams. Food products can be useful because they have measurements right on the side that say how massive they are. The thing that you need to know is that mass measurement is an indication of how much mass the food has, not the packaging. So if I go and look at my can of tuna, it has a mass of 142 grams when I measured 175 grams. So that difference can be accounted by the packaging, the can that the tuna is in. So that's a way to kind of ballpark the mass that we'll be looking for. Really what I want you to try and start off with, though, is just getting your rough draft drawn and the materials that you'll use from home to build this. I showed a couple of pictures. I can show you a few pictures now of some designs from previous years. Give me just a second here. Similar to what we did with our balloon-powered vehicles, we start with a design in mind, and then that may change, but I just want you to come up with a rough draft design, and then when it changes, we'll account for those changes in the final draft. Get some pictures pulled up here. So there's a can or a jar of Clamato with a bunch of stuffing inside from Gabby. Parachute designs are very popular. There's a pillow. Let's see, this was one of my favorites. Some straws that worked as shock absorbers. This particular design from Flint didn't fit in the egg crate, so he took some penalty points there, but it was very light in terms of its mass. And the egg survived the drop from the ladder, out the window, and off the roof. So he gained bonus points back there. Parachute designs are always encouraged, but they can be tricky. So here's a decent parachute design. Very few strings. This captures air really easily, allowing the parachute to deploy. Designs like this don't work all that well. There's not much space for air to be caught here. So the parachute can be folded up when we try to fit it in that 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot egg crate. That was an okay parachute design. And then we're in balloon powered vehicles. So that's the big idea behind Operation Egg Drop. I want you to spend today, Friday, and then Monday working on your rough draft design. If you get into Monday and your rough draft design is done and your materials are laid out and you have them handy, you can actually start a build. We're not going to talk about the actual drop until next week on Tuesday. If you have any questions, you can send me a direct message on Edmodo. Otherwise, some of you still need to get Finding Energy turned in, so that's certainly a top priority.